Hello, we are Group 7 and we will be presenting the sheep industry. I will begin introducing what is a sheep. A sheep consists of a female and a male, and the male has horns and the female doesn't. And the male is called a ram and the female is a ewe. They have ruminant compartments, which allow them to digest their food much easier, and they are not carnivores. They have wool, which varies in different colors from a solid color to dark black to multiple colors, just depending on the breed of the sheep.
A little bit about the background of the sheep. Sheep were the first livestock animals to become domesticated by humans in 5000 BCE. They were mainly used for meat and milk until their wool was highly discovered. Many people that traveled and lived in packs would use this as the easier method to get supplies. A mature sheep is consumed is called mutton, while the immature is called lamb. There are different production systems based on what they are used for. The three systems include wool, meat, and milk. There are certain breeds for each of these. The meat breeds include Hampshire, Suffolk, Dorset, Southdown, and Shropshire, which are most popular breeds, while some of the wool breeds are Merano, Rambouillet, Borrowdale, and Polypay. Some milk breeds include East Frisian, Lucane, Awazi, and Asaph.
Production and impact in California. On the right, we have a chart which has for number one lamb production, and this is raising them. The highest that comes in value would be wool, and that has the highest ranking. And then milk production is not that favored, so it comes in lower for the impact in California.
So what do production systems look like? So there are three types of management systems for sheep production. We have extensive production, which is an animal farming system characterized by a low productivity per animal and per surface. And we have intensive production, which is which is animals are fed in a confinement with no access to graze. And then we have traditional production, which is the main sheep production system of the semi-arid rangelands. And we have the economic impact, which studies show in 2016 that there was an economic impact for sheep of around 5.8 billion. And the sheep industry contributes more than $2 billion into the U.S. economy. And the graph shown on the side explains the number of sheep, lambs by class, as well as sheep crop and sheep short, along with wool production in 2022.
Organizations and company creating the audit tools that we've used in this project. The main one we've decided to use today is the Global Animal Partnership. This builds on the ability to have a set documents with how to correctly care and raise sheep and lamb in a production setting. Using these ideas of welfare, we are able to know when animals are sick and how to treat them better and create a better living environment for them overall, giving us this checklist which we can go down and create a better welfare system for our animals in production life. Fitting into the mission of welfare, checking in to make sure all animals have the same quality of care. No matter if a lamb is a breeding animal or a market animal, the sheep are given the same level of welfare and care throughout the duration of their time with the producer. That means going above the overall level of care that is seen now. These welfare lists by the Global Animal Partnership are on a higher level than most, which give more definite detail and overall welfare of the animal to be on a higher level.
There are different production systems that are utilize these tools. The systems that we are looking at are more organic, with a little bit conventional. The organic farming method is using no additives and being natural, as the sheep standards page suggests. The sheep standards link talks about how no additives or hormones or byproducts are being used, which falls under that organic category. It talks about proper handling on a typical farm, as well as proper care of an animal welfare, which is a little bit more conventional.
Target customers. Sheep producers and small ruminant producers can both use the tool given from the Global Animal Partnership to give a higher level of welfare to their production animals. It can also be done by individuals just wanting to raise a lamb crop and producers wanting to go beyond the standard. Also can be contributed to including FFA and 4-H members wanting to grow a better project and work towards a more sustainable future in their project. Another target customer could be retailers looking for animals that were grown in a more welfare setting than a traditional commercial bring up. Price points to have a higher level of welfare are as followed. The Ketchum sheep equipment has low stress working chutes priced from starting in the low 400s all the way up to the high 7,000s, with different pieces you can put into the working chutes to make it more workable for the producer, while also still being safe and on the welfare side for the sheep in production. Tilt tables are also in the side of animal welfare for easier hoof trims and maintenance with lower stress on animals. Premier One Supplies is another company we looked at when looking at animal welfare. They also have chutes with a turn to make the animals move forward easier, doors where you can push animals in an easier fashion, and ways for animals to go back to their pens without feeling stressed.
There are different scoring methods. On safe sheep handling does not provide a scoring protocol. The GAP provides more example on how to use scoring, which is shown below. The score is influenced by the step level of the animal falls under. If you look below, there's each step level 1 through 5 and 5+, and that helps you grade how well the scoring is going.
Difference in audit tools, we have the sheep and standard application, and the guidelines are for this one. There is a checklist on the right side with the yes or no answer, and on the left side, there's questions that are associated with those different questions. And moving on to stocking density, this is for a lamb or a ewe and a kid, and this is a square feet that needs to be implemented when building their facility to have enough room for them to move around, so they could live comfortable. And the weight requirement, there was no weight requirement. The only thing that they did say was either emancipated or not, and that means either too skinny or not. And vaccines for sheep are used, or antibiotics to be injected when there is some type of infection. Growth hormones, like for the meat industry, is to make them grow faster. And then on the right side, we have the Safe Sheep Handling Guide. And this one has illustrations that show how to restrain and handle a sheep using pictures. And then they have balance lines, also pictures demonstrating how to catch them and how to control them and how to walk them in the lines too. And then the hazards control that are involved with them. It's the hazards that can happen with the sheep, either when they are flying or running, and how to control them and the safety training for them. And then lifting and docking is for when you have to know of a way to lift them, because since they are so heavy, the employee can get hurt. And then how to shear the muscle. There's this way that there's a safe way to do them to not hurt them. And continuing on for sheep standard, the lameness is could be prevented, but regular fur must be checked on them if there's any cracks in between the hoof, to make sure that there's no lumps, anything that could indicate lameness. And checking it on a regular basis is very important, because lameness can lead to a lot of problems. And Euthanasia, which is a very sensitive topic, is to make sure that the animal is completely dead, just to know that they're not suffering. And the tools required are either a firearm or anesthetic overdose on them. So that's for euthanasia. And then on the right side, safe handling guide talks about the administration of vaccines for the health and safety for the sheep, to make sure that they get all their vaccines they need to prevent any infections, any outburst, and with the big flocks such as a sheep. Loading, knowing how to load them and unloading them safely, since a lot of times they can get injured or they can get too stressed out and hurt each other. And ramps for them, it's important to have ramps specificated for sheep so they can load up correctly and come down and not have as well more injuries. And then having the sheep pens maintained, make sure that they're clean, not full of any debris, and to prevent any diseases also. Continue on with the sheep pen standard. To restrain them, the electric parts are used, and that's to make them move throughout the chute when they're being a little stubborn. And physical alterations that are done are like castration, disbudding, dehorning. And for the animal identification, they could vary from tagging, ear tagging to a collar, and to even marking on their rear end. And the environment for a sheep must consist either in the hot summer days is to have good shading, and also for the winter when it rains, so they won't get wet and get sick. And also having the correct bedding for them, which is also very important because they need to have clean space for them, so they're not in their manure and not spreading infections throughout each other, which would be hard to actually care for an infected flock.
Failure for an audit tool would occur with any of the following: high loss rates in lamb crop, failure to comply with the GAP's 5-step animal welfare standards, cleanliness levels being unsatisfactory or below standard, animals not being treated for disease and illness, having more livestock on the property than the property can provide for, and having animals that are 2 or under on the health scale are all values that fail can occur in an audit test.
Looking at the auditor instructions under Global Animal Partnership, this audit provides detailed instructions in the STEP system, which was listed before. It includes detailed chart and example for a reference as shown in the next slide. There's no training requirement, but there are several certification steps after the audit is made, which will be review and revise the audit. The sheep handling guide does not have any audit instructions or required training for it.
So this is audit instructions, which includes the step level, marking claims, description of system, and management of highlights. So when looking at subject scoring, where we have 2 audit tools where only one had a specifics in scoring, which included the Global Animal Partnership. It provided lameness scoring and body condition scoring. As shown below, it gives it a score of 0, score of 1, score 2. And then in body condition scoring, it includes BAC, body condition 1, body condition 2, and body condition 3, body condition 4, and body condition 5.
There are certain things to be done with passing the audit, but mainly looking at Global Animal Partnership audit is where it shows this. It has more ways on how the audit is passed and addressed. When you scroll down on the home page with the chart shown to the right, you look for the standard selection, which is what it's at. Then from there, you'll find links for different selections. There's 5 on the right. From there, you'll have the 5 steps and questions, and they'll go over detailed of what they are. And then it'll be submitted and go for reviews and be decided from then on. There are some improvements needed to each of these audits. When looking at the sheep handling audit, it's very detailed and easy to read based on understanding of images and diagrams. But there's one issue. It doesn't cover all the information such as weight, physical altercations, and stock density. It only covers handling and safety and not much other than that based on the audits. But when looking at global animal partnership, it goes into more detail. They have achievable goal levels and goals, but do not go into very much detail from there on. They do have more information on the homepage. The other pages tend to be hard to find. You have to search down the bottom and look at the links like given on the last slide and to have to access it. So when looking at that audit, you have to make sure to look through and find what you need. It's not all given to you very easily.
And lastly, for a conclusion, animal welfare is essential, especially for the ideal body weight. In order to run a good production, the people who are running it must know what the body weight of a sheep must consist of in order to run a big running production. And also having proper feed and shelter also make sure that they are well taken care of, and then give the adequate care for sick, injured animals. And this is to make sure that they're, in order for a livestock to be running and an operation, they need to be maintained from injury or sickness or anything. And this is really essential, especially in these types of management systems. And equipment also, in order to have running livestock, we have to have the right equipment for them, adjusted to their needs and their living style, and working chutes, which also make it very, very helpful for employees to manage. And this also gives them a great life, being able to, with less stress, and leading to the industry of the sheep industry. Well, I hope you guys like our presentation. Thank you very much.